To add to the summer excitement overflowing with blockbusters, Anime Rush is bringing you the most explosive masterpiece of the season, Tougen Anki, Demon of the Peach Clan. This is where the cycle of hatred between those who consider themselves righteous, the Momotaro, clashes with the demons, also known as Oni. But are the Momotaro truly righteous? And just how dangerous are the demons? Let's dive in with Anime Rush and find out. The story begins many years ago on a bloody and stormy day. Tsuyoshi, a member of the Momotaro organization, is attempting to protect a child with demon blood after a fierce battle. His comrade desperately warns him that his decision will become a nightmare. For since ancient times, the demons have been incredibly brutal, destroying everything in their path and instilling fear in all of humanity. However, there's one thing in this world that can hold them back: those with the blood of Momotaro. They ascended Demon Gate Island and annihilated countless demons. Since then, demons and the Momotaro organization have existed as two opposing forces, annihilating each other for their own ideals. Despite knowing and having fought many demons, Tsuyoshi believes the child in his arms is innocent, and he's convinced saving him is the right choice. Many years later, the child Tsuyoshi saved has grown into a big boy named Shiki. Instead of being a diligent student, this kid is a real delinquent. He's been expelled, but he finds it hilarious. All he does is fight and play with water guns. News of his expulsion reaches his adoptive father, Tsuyoshi. He immediately goes to Shiki's room to educate his unruly son. Even after getting hit, Shiki just shrugs. "So what if I got expelled? Why are you so worried, Dad?" His dad gets furious and lunges at him, but Shiki is quick and dodges. However, Tsuyoshi notices something strange. "Son, why is your room full of hot goods? Our family sells beer and liquor, not water guns for fish shooting games." Shiki replies, "It's none of your business. Don't worry about it, but I heard you just lost an order, right? How pathetic, old man." He confidently declares he won't end up like him. His old man retorts, "You, a kid who got expelled, talking big to whom?" Shiki feels a bit humiliated, then says, "It's a good thing we're not blood related." Seriously? How could he say that after his dad saved and raised him? This is peak rebellious age, disrespecting everyone. His dad is at his wit's end, utterly helpless with his good-for-nothing son, and turns to leave. A moment later, he gets a call from someone who wants a few cases of Hanoi beer delivered. His dad is overjoyed and immediately prepares to leave. Lounging upstairs, Shiki, feeling smug, thinks, "Since I was picked up anyway, why didn't I fall into a rich family's hands?" Just then, an explosion rocks the air, and smoke billows everywhere. Shiki is confused when something black wraps around his leg and drags him down to the street. It turns out to be that old man, Tsuyoshi's former subordinate. He looks at Shiki and asks, "Are you Shiki?" Suddenly, Shiki's father returns and rams his car straight into the old man. He quickly tells Shiki to shut up and get in the car to escape. His dad knows they've been discovered and plans to take his adopted son abroad to start a new life. Meanwhile, Shiki is worried his dad just ran over that old man, surely killing him, but his dad reassures him, "He won't die, don't worry." At this point, Tsuyoshi stops hiding the truth, because Shiki isn't a child anymore and deserves to know his true identity. Tsuyoshi tells Shiki that demon blood flows within him, and the old man earlier possessed Momotaro blood. Shiki is shocked, thinking, is the old man joking? But at that exact moment, the Momotaro has caught up to them. Black tendrils cover the car, rendering it immobile, forcing the father and son out before the car explodes. The explosion leaves Tsuyoshi disoriented, and Shiki is captured. The old man chains Shiki with the black tendrils, claiming that those with demon blood like him need to be eliminated. Shiki is utterly confused. How did this old man survive getting hit by a car? At this point, Shiki's father steps in and tells Shiki that the legend of the war between demons and the Momotaro organization is real. To this day, both sides are still fighting tooth and nail. The Momotaro grew stronger, forcing demons to hide among humans to survive. Shiki, being a blockhead, doesn't understand what his dad is talking about. But Tsuyoshi doesn't care. He tells Shiki, "It's good that you're chained up. Just stay there and listen to the adults talk." Then, the two former comrades begin to fight. The Momotaro old man attacks with twin swords, while Tsuyoshi quickly uses a single blade to block. Despite his disheveled appearance, Tsuyoshi is quite strong. Being a former Momotaro member, that black mist is a special manifestation of those with Momotaro blood. The old man greets his former leader by a familiar name, but Tsuyoshi doesn't want to hear it. Shiki, watching his dad fight from above, is surprised to learn his father was a Momotaro member. The white-haired old man says, "Whether you change your name or not, the fact that you were a Momotaro member is undeniable. And more than anyone, you should know the danger of demons." He adds that the day Tsuyoshi decided to save and shelter that child, He was already given a death sentence by the Momotaro organization. Tisk, like I care. Tsuyoshi retorts, if you're so good, come on and try to take me down. And so, the two former comrades resume their intense battle. They fight back and forth, seemingly evenly matched. Powerful slashes from the twin swords are all parried by Tsuyoshi, who constantly counterattacks. The white-haired old man doesn't understand why his former leader would suffer so much, sacrificing everything to protect a demon. Tsuyoshi tells him, what do you know? Shut your damn mouth. He lunges to attack, but the old man uses a teleportation-like ability to deftly dodge, then delivers two sword slashes that knock Tsuyoshi down immediately. Shiki, seeing his dad slowly dying before his eyes, starts to go berserk. The white-haired old man scoffs. There's no way Tsuyoshi could defeat someone who's trained relentlessly for so long like me. However, Tsuyoshi, still barely alive, grabs the old man's leg. The old man doesn't understand why his former leader is still struggling when he's about to die. But Tsuyoshi says, how could you understand a father like me? Shiki is my precious son. And even if I die, I will protect him. Tsuyoshi believes that even a child with demon blood doesn't deserve to be killed. The white-haired old man tells him to shut up and prepares to finish Tsuyoshi off. At this moment, Shiki, still chained, can no longer remain calm. In his mind, he's desperate. Why am I so useless? Just standing here watching? My old man is dying. This anger unknowingly awakens the demon blood within Shiki. He vows to kill that man and save his dad. The urge to kill grows stronger and stronger. He awakens his demon blood power, breaks free from his chains, and attacks the Momotaro. But the old man is no slouch and blocks all his attacks. When the old man realizes it, Shiki has already transformed into a demon, not giving him a moment to breathe. Shiki attacks frantically, but his technique is too crude. Just a simple charge. So, against a seasoned fighter, the old man easily blocks and tears off one of Shiki's arms. But the demon blood power quickly regenerates the arm. What makes a demon terrifying isn't their ability to control blood, but their berserk state, where they go insane and destroy everything. Shiki is indeed going wild now. His blood transforms into various heavy weapons, specialized in delivering democracy. The old man tries his best to defend, but how can two swords block rockets? He's terrified by the destructive power and turns to run away. Shiki, even more enraged, continuously fires. The old man is tough and tries to attack Shiki, but the hits don't seem to faze Shiki, who rushes forward and kicks the old man's face. The old man is quickly stomped on by Shiki, who unleashes a chaotic barrage, destroying everything in front of him. But the old man is still not dead. Meanwhile, Shiki's demon power gradually fades as he regains control of himself. The old man tries to seize the opportunity to eliminate the threat. But Shiki's father manages to block the sword in time and delivers a fatal blow to the white-haired old man. The old man asks his former leader, even after seeing that demon just now, you still want to protect it? Tsuyoshi replies that he was very happy. The explosion at the warehouse draws people's attention, so the white-haired old man quickly leaves, leaving Shiki and his father to have a heart-to-heart. His dad says, in my final moments, let me talk to my son in peace. He apologizes for not telling Shiki all this time. But as a father, how could he tell his son that he's a demon and will be hunted? He can no longer be with Shiki, so he wants Shiki to be strong. Strong enough not to lose to anyone in Momotaro, and strong enough to control the demon within himself. Only then can he protect his happiness. But stubborn Shiki explodes, saying he doesn't want to hear it. Don't just lie down like that. Old man, we still have to live together as father and son. At this moment, his dad smiles contentedly. He wishes that demons and Momotaro could walk shoulder to shoulder like this. Then, Tsuyoshi collapses in his son's arms. Shiki is full of regret, apologizing for the harsh words he spoke to his dad. He screams for his dad to wake up and yell at him again. But this time, it's hard. Shiki, no one will yell at you anymore. Late tears fall. Game over. Suddenly, a man appears and knocks Shiki out. On the Momotaro side, the white-haired old man, Samadare, is being reprimanded for acting on his own and failing. But what can be done? The Momotaro's rule is that civilians must not witness their power. Shiki is tied up by the man in an unknown location. The man talks to a stranger, who introduces himself as the director. He's very pleased that there are so many promising candidates this year. He adds that this Naito hasn't let anyone pass the selection round for years. But now someone has passed, which is rare, surely a super talent. He has high hopes for this year's batch. After being knocked unconscious and abducted by Naito, Shiki finds himself dreaming of his father's fierce battle with a Momotaro and his eventual demise by a fatal sword strike. He jolts awake, realizing it wasn't a dream at all. His old man was indeed murdered by a Momotaro member. Beside him, Naito is casually doing one-handed push-ups, having apparently done around 1,300 of them. Naito says he didn't want to wake Shiki up, as there's no point talking to someone whose mind is still foggy. His style is pretty rigid, he hates inefficiency. While Shiki's still confused about what's going on, Naito introduces himself as a demon. Just like Shiki, he advises Shiki not to waste time thinking about his father, as he's already dead, and his body is being preserved. The purpose of bringing Shiki here is to test him and gather information. With that, Naito slides away, pulling the whiteboard along. He hates how slow it is to walk barefoot. Shiki's mouth is gagged, so he can't curse at Naito and just has to listen. Naito informs Shiki that those with special bodies who can use the Black Mist are members of the Momotaro organization. Or more accurately, those who inherit the bloodline of Momotaro. They are an organization dedicated to eradicating demons, meaning people like Naito and Shiki. So, to counter the Momotaro, demons have also formed their own organization. Naito's mission is to find fellow demons and test if they have suitable talents. Naito puts the whiteboard away, ending his presentation, then unlocks Shiki's mouth for questions and answers. Just as expected, the moment his mouth is free, Shiki starts yelling his head off. He screams, "Naito, you bastard, what did you do to my dad? If you touched him, I'll kill you." Naito doesn't even bat an eye, calmly deducting 1 point from Shiki. Naito already said the old man's body was preserved, so why be so brainless? Shiki stubbornly continues to curse at Naito. Naito feels like this kid is beyond saving and continuously deducts points from Shiki. After a while, Shiki realizes he needs to calm down or he won't get anywhere. He takes a deep breath and asks Naito about the test, adding, "Can we just get this over with quickly? Ungag me so I can go avenge my father." Naito looks at Shiki and thinks, this kid is hopeless. I'll have to test him using a different method. With that, Naito approaches and uses his tie to choke Shiki until he can't breathe. Naito believes a person's true nature is revealed when they're on the verge of death. Shiki struggles desperately, blood starting to gush, but he seems to lose consciousness. Just then, Shiki's blood begins to transform into arrows, attacking Naito. Though Naito dodges the attack immediately, Shiki closes in incredibly fast, aiming at Naito's head and saying, "Your daddy's got 6 barrels. Got it?" Naito realizes this kid Shiki is starting to go berserk. Simultaneously, Shiki fires cannon after cannon at Naito's face. However, Naito easily blocks all the projectiles without a single scratch. Naito figures that since Shiki is going berserk, he probably doesn't know how to use his demon blood. Naito bluntly deducts 100 points from Shiki. But while he's at it, Naito also wants to show this brat what true demon blood power is like. The thing is, Shiki is in a berserk state, so he won't remember anything after he calms down. Not to mention, if Naito loses focus for even a moment, the demon will finish him off. But Naito is never caught off guard. It's unclear how intense the fight was, but currently, Shiki is on the floor, and Naito is perfectly fine, though the room is wrecked from the aftermath of their battle. Naito says the demon blood within Shiki is too strong and very difficult to control. But Naito has been explaining all this time, and Shiki still doesn't get it. He asks, "Don't you have demon power too?" However, these two powers are different. Naito's power comes from awakening his demon blood and controlling it. What Shiki has been displaying is a berserk state, but Shiki's brain just can't comprehend it. He still doesn't understand the problem. Naito then frankly announces, "You're out. I can't handle a stubborn, untrainable idiot like you." Shiki, lying on the ground, gradually senses Naito's terrifying power. Then, Shiki sits up and says, "Although I hate to admit it, you're really strong, and I've decided to follow you." Shiki wants to get stronger to avenge his old man, but Naito doesn't care, he refuses, saying that brainless fighters like him usually die young. The more Naito talks, the angrier Shiki gets. He's humbled himself, yet he's still rejected. The situation worsens when Naito says he'll eliminate a berserk individual who can't control their actions. Naito cuts his finger slightly, enough to release his demon blood. The blood quickly forms an umbrella in Naito's hand. Shiki observes carefully, noticing something and beginning to experiment. Shiki runs quickly, then rubs his hands on the floor before lunging at Naito. Naito quickly transforms his umbrella into a shield with super sharp spikes. Naito then starts considering Shiki's possible attack options. 1. Just blindly charge in. 2. Slide in and aim for the legs. 3. Jump into the air and attack. 4. Fake an attack and run away. While Naito is thinking, Shiki has already jumped. He even uses the spikes to jump higher. Even so, Naito only considers it a third option. But Shiki has controlled his demon blood power, transforming his blood into a gun, ready to put Naito in his grave. But you can't defeat Naito that easily. He catches Shiki's attack with incredible ease. On the other side, after that move, Shiki falls into a berserk state again. Naito regrets that this kid is still unusable. He unleashes his overwhelming power, preparing to send Shiki to his final resting place. Naito's demon blood power is called Vagrant Reincarnation, forming a formidable army ready to finish off Shiki. But surprisingly, Shiki's will pushes back the berserk state, and then he's delighted but exhausted, falling back down. Naito looks at this scene and has a different view of Shiki. Not only has he controlled his demon blood power, but he has also restrained his berserk state. Naito doesn't think it was a fluke and asks Shiki how he did it. Shiki says Naito has to accept him as his subordinate first, but Naito doesn't care, so Shiki has to confess. Shiki tells Naito that he thought about how to control his demon blood, and when he saw Naito cut his finger and use his blood to create an umbrella, Shiki guessed that he could do it, and all he needed to do was think of the shape of the weapon that would appear. Naito is surprised that this idiot, who can't control his emotions, can control his blood, because usually, when fighting, emotions run high, and reason tells the brain to calm down and only use a certain amount of blood to fight. That way, you won't lose control and go berserk. But Shiki does things differently. When his emotions explode, the mad dog inside him tries to suppress his emotions from controlling him. Not only that, but the demon blood power is also beaten mercilessly by his mad dog, and forced to operate according to its will. In short, Shiki doesn't control it with reason but with his instinctive, emotional nature. According to Naito, it looks crazy, but when his power erupts, it's absolutely explosive. As Naito hesitates, wondering what to do with this problem child, Shiki boldly declares that to get stronger, he will learn everything and obey Naito. So he hopes Naito will accept him. However, Naito's decision is to refuse. Because Naito thinks, what if Shiki can't maintain his true self? Every battle requires careful planning, not having to restart from scratch every time you make a mistake. He steps forward and thrusts his umbrella, nearly piercing Shiki's head, but it's just a scare. Naito says he won't accept Shiki as his subordinate, but Shiki will be his student. Although it was close, he passed. Shiki is confused. Student? Passed? What the heck is that? Sensei, can I eat it? So Naito starts explaining in detail to Shiki. He says this place is an island far from the mainland called Onigashima, Demon Gate Island. And in the center of the island is a school for demons called Risetsu Academy. This school is different from other schools in that the students here are trained to deal with the Momotaro. There, they will be trained in how to use demon blood and various tactics. On the other hand, there will still be a general education curriculum. And Naito also introduces himself as Shiki's homeroom teacher. So much information floods into Shiki's head that he's almost going crazy. Naito says, if your brain is the size of a grape, that's what happens. Can't help you there. However, Shiki is quite determined, thinking that by studying here, he will gain the power to avenge his father. Naito doesn't deny that Shiki can get stronger by studying here, but everything depends on Shiki's effort and ability. However, if he can't keep up, he'll be expelled. Shiki's blood boils, and he declares, bring it on, sensei, I can handle anything. Later, while changing, Shiki notices his horn, but he figures he'll learn how to hide it while studying. Naito also tells Shiki that, currently, Shiki is the lowest ranked student in the class. One more thing, his father's body is being preserved, so Shiki can decide how to bury him. Naito also reminds Shiki not to drown himself in hatred and despair. Instead, he should use it as motivation and make himself stronger than anyone. While Shiki is feeling down, his teacher quickly runs to class and tells him he has 15 seconds. Or he'll be expelled. Running desperately, he's thinking about how to enter the classroom coolly. When his teacher kicks him straight into the room, he's got a nosebleed, but he quickly greets his classmates. However, with his habit of annoying others, he seems to be making enemies with his classmates. Each person has their own personality. Some are shy, some are serious, some are thugs, and some are brainless, just like Shiki. But Shiki starts thinking these guys are all crazy. He immediately clashes with the guy wearing the mask because of his contemptuous attitude. Then, Naito appears, silencing the two troublemakers, but Naito's face is also irritated. He says that instead of a school tour, they're changing plans today. The students are too rowdy, so they'll have to play a game of demon tag. The teacher takes the whole class to a place far from the school and gives the class 1 hour to return to school. If anyone is caught by him, they will be subdued on the spot. When everyone is caught, the game ends, but specifically, anyone who doesn't make it to the finish line will be expelled immediately. Shiki asks, are you crazy, sensei? We just started school. Naito says, don't think this is a normal school. After graduating, you'll have to face the Momotaro on the front lines. And the possibility of sacrifice is very high. So everything here is serious. Naito adds that he won't use his blood power, but the students can use theirs. However, if anyone loses control, Naito will use his blood. But the guy wearing the mask threatens the teacher, saying that if he doesn't use his blood power, he might get taken down. Naito isn't intimidated. He says, "Feel free to try. If you win, you'll graduate immediately and be placed on the team you want." Shiki is excited, thinking he could go fight that guy. But he knows it won't be that easy to defeat the teacher. But if it's a challenge, then he's serious about accepting it. After Naito's presentation, the entire class finally understands the stakes. If they don't want to get expelled or die on the battlefield later, they need to take their training seriously. But before they start, there's one more crucial item needed to reach the finish line: a ball. Without it in hand, crossing the finish line means nothing. But there are 7 students in the class, so why are there only 2 balls? Naito explains that due to the large number of students, they'll have to split into teams. Naito immediately throws both balls into the game area and starts forming teams. Shiki, Homer, and Jin will be in Team 1. Suddenly, the 2 guys who just hated each other's guts are forced onto the same team. It's quite similar to the rivalry between Sasuke and Naruto. But now they're stuck with a pink-haired girl in the middle. Team 2 will consist of Akari and Juji, and finally, Team 3 will have Rokuro, the black and white immovable, and the blonde girl, Queen. Teams 2 and 3 have fewer members, so they only need to get 1 ball to pass. This means, in the best-case scenario, 3 people will be eliminated. Everyone is getting excited about this competition. To give the students a bit of a head start, the teacher will enter the game 15 minutes later, so everyone should make good use of that precious time and run fast. Naito is about to say, "If there are no objections, let the game begin," but sure enough, Shiki speaks up. Shiki says he can't be on the same team as this pig wearing a mask. Naito doesn't care, but says, "If you want to leave the team, then you'll be expelled for the second time." Shiki gulps, realizing he's stuck, but at least there's a pretty pink-haired girl. Shiki, who's never had a girl initiate a conversation with him in years, is thrilled and loudly proclaims he'll protect Homer. She blushes slightly, then turns to greet the masked guy, Jin, but he says nothing, making her scared enough to cry and apologize. Seeing her cry, Shiki curses at Jin, then turns to comfort Homer. "Your face is too pretty to cry. You're much prettier when you smile." Jin finally opens his mouth and says, "You guys are gonna get eliminated anyway. Just get out of my way. Don't hold me back." Shiki replies that he has his own purpose and can't give up. Jin retorts, "Oh, so it's just some worthless goal, huh?" Shiki is furious, about to charge at him, but the teacher intervenes. "Alright, you two, stop it, or I'll expel you all right now. Team 1, move it." With that, the trio starts moving. Jin dashes off incredibly fast, and so does Shiki, but Homer is incredibly slow. While everyone else is preparing to move, Jin is already speeding ahead. In his mind, he recalls that if he can defeat the teacher, he'll graduate and be able to choose his team. This way, Jin can join the team he wants to meet someone. Suddenly, Shiki appears from behind, ambushing him. Shiki says he doesn't care about their petty squabbles, but since Jin called Shiki's goal worthless, Shiki wants Jin to take back his words. Jin scoffs, "Like I care, come on, try me." With that, he shows Shiki the large scars around his mouth. They look pretty nasty, but Shiki thinks only small fries show off their scars. Jin retorts, "Then you're not even as good as a small fry." Jin then unleashes his blood manifestation. From his arm, sharp saw blades quickly form. Shiki is stunned, seeing Jin manifest his blood so easily. He asks, "How did you do it so easily?" Jin tells Shiki, "If you're scared, then scram, run fast." But Shiki has never been one to run away scared. Besides, he thinks, "If I run now, wouldn't my old man have died for nothing?" Jin hears that and asks Shiki, "You're here to avenge your father, huh? If so, then we'll never get along. You chicken, you calling me a chicken? Let me show you." With that, Shiki bites his arm, trying to force out his weapon, but he struggles and can't. Jin says, "See, someone like you is just a waste of my time. Now pay the price." Shiki is frustrated. How did that dog do it so easily? Can't I just call it out with blood? Damn it, Shiki gives up. No demon blood. Fine, I'll use a wooden stick to beat you. The 2 hotheads charge at each other, and the obvious result is the wooden stick being cut in half by Jin. Meanwhile, the pink-haired Homer is wandering around looking for her teammates. She hears a loud noise and tries to investigate, but she trips and falls face first, then gets depressed, thinking she's useless. A moment later, trying to leave to find Shiki, she doesn't see the ball right behind her. The The commotion from the fight also attracts the attention of the 4 members of teams 2 and 3. They're starting to realize this game is brutal. Back to the battle. Shiki is continuously getting clobbered by Jin. He takes hit after hit but tries to counterattack. However, Jin is simply on a different level. Shiki punches repeatedly but can't land a single hit. As he fights, he thinks about how Jin's weapon is also formed from blood. Just like the teacher's umbrella, Shiki begins to realize that the key to controlling blood might lie here. But it's still so confusing. Taking advantage of Shiki's contemplation, Jin delivers a powerful punch that flips Shiki over. Lying still on the ground, Shiki realizes this is the first time he's felt such an uncomfortable sense of not understanding something. Just as Jin thinks he's won and turns to leave, Shiki slowly gets up. Jin, in rage, attacks with his blood manifestation technique. Just then, Homer walks by. Shiki immediately plays the hero, saving the damsel in distress. Afterward, Homer slowly regains consciousness and sees Shiki arguing with Jin. She then notices the wounds on Shiki's body. On the other side, Jin pulls down his shirt, contemptuously telling the guys that he was holding back. Yet they're still terrified. What kind of fighters are you? Just quit school already. Shiki is furious, but the girl behind him is kneeling, continuously apologizing for causing Shiki's injuries. The girl seems emotionally fragile or overly emotional, leading to negativity, and suddenly, blood gushes out. It forms a giant body. To Shiki and Jin's astonishment, the giant demon roars as if it wants to protect Homer. They know that the blood volume of demons like Shiki or Jin is far greater than normal humans. But this much, like Homer, is something they've never seen before. Homer loses control and fearfully tells Shiki and Jin to run, or she will kill them. As soon as she finishes speaking, before they can run, it attacks. Meanwhile, the principal has met with Naito. He thinks Naito is being a bit too harsh for the first day. But Naito argues that instead of useless explanations and introductions, it's better to put them straight into practical combat. The principal understands. It's all for the students, isn't it? Every year, many demons are killed, mostly young ones, or if caught alive, they are taken for experiments. He pities those innocent, unconscious young demons who might one day have their lives threatened by the Momotaro. The principal only wishes they could find equality in heaven. Naito has a different perspective. He doesn't need heaven. Only strength can prevent one from being killed. With that, the principal hopes Naito will help the children. Then he leaves. Back to the students. Shiki and Jin are in trouble. Jin tries to cut it, but it's too big and doesn't do much damage. Shiki tries to reason with Homer. Hey, beautiful, do something. Can't you control that thing? Homer can only apologize and say, I can't do anything. Just leave me alone. You too. I'm passing out. Shiki tries to rush in and save the pretty girl. But the giant sister tries to protect Homer and doesn't let him get close. Jin stands by, wondering if blood can have its own will. Then, the sister spews a torrent of blood that wraps around the 2 boys. Homer tries to open her mouth and scream, Sister, no, please stop. Then she pleads with the 2 boys to run. I'm at my limit, but Shiki can't abandon her. If she keeps losing blood like this, she'll die. Seeing her suffering, Shiki is determined to protect her at all costs. The sister, as if not wanting her younger sibling to be courted by this brat, screams and unleashes a terrifying power, which can be felt even outside the testing area. From above, Naito has also noticed the problem, but he won't help. He'll just let them fight for fun. Shiki is still trying to manifest his weapon, but he just can't. He's sure the previous times were just luck. This time, he's screwed. Kid, the sister, attacks, throws dirt, and sends Shiki flying backward. At this point, Shiki's body is exhausted. He can't believe he's fighting so uselessly today. Essentially, he hasn't done anything. Furious that he can't do anything, he cries over his weakness. Jin approaches and says, Go home and cry. Kid, you're too weak. Jin coolly unleashes his blood manifestation again, taking on the sister. He has 2 saws in his hands, but their shapes are different. Naito has to admit that Jin has potential. That's an advanced technique and requires experience. However, demon blood is inherently free and can change shape and hardness. What forms in the mind sends signals to the brain, then through nerves and blood vessels to create the shape. So the shapes of special weapons can reflect deep psychological trauma, preferences, or what the individual controller wants to use. Each type of weapon formed is like a sketch of that person's life. Using blood to form a weapon is called blood manifestation. Jin rushes in to attack, trying to take down the demon, but it's not easy. It turns and punches Jin, giving him a hard time, while Shiki just stands and thinks. Suddenly, he realizes that Jin has only been creating saw blades to slash, while Homer's is that sister. So he connects it to what's familiar to him, his water guns back home. Besides, He created water guns in his 2 previous fights. While Shiki is thinking, Jin has been overwhelmed by the sister and lost his ability to resist. Just when Naito thinks the kids are at their limit, Shiki pulls out his combat gear. He unleashes his blood manifestation, pulling out an M4 rifle that looks incredibly badass. He tells Jin, "Your daddy's just starting to fight now." He quickly dodges a slap from the sister and fires a bullet, sending blood splattering everywhere. That destructive power leaves Jin and Naito speechless. Now they know what it's like to have hot goods in hand. Right? After Shiki brings out his special weapons move, he manages to send the giant woman to the grave. The move takes a heavy toll, and Homer passes out from blood loss. Not only Naito-sensei, but Jin is also stunned by Shiki's power. It doesn't just kill an opponent, it changes the weather, causing it to rain. Shiki tries to crawl over to check on Homer, but he's used too much blood and collapses. Unable to move, Naito-sensei appears and explains that Shiki is exhausted because he fired off a terrifyingly concentrated amount of blood. He tells him not to try to get up and to just lie still. But Shiki is stubborn. He tries to stand, only to fall back down. Naito warns him, "Don't be an idiot. Losing that much blood could kill you. And you still can't control that power." Still, Naito-sensei is chilled to the bone thinking about how insane that attack was. Lying on the ground, Shiki tells Naito to check on Homer first, saying she's probably lost a lot of blood, too. Naito-sensei is pleased to see that even in this state, Shiki is still worried about his teammate. But at that moment, Jin suddenly lunges at Naito, who reflexively parries the attack. Naito says that Shiki and Homer are in critical condition and they won't have time to provide first aid if they keep fighting. Jin doesn't care about the two of them, he just wants to beat Naito and graduate. Jin's indifference to his teammates infuriates the teacher, who hates people like him. Naito prepares to teach Jin a lesson he'll never forget, promising that he still won't use his blood demon abilities. Jin quickly attacks, but his chainsaws aren't strong enough to cut through the teacher's umbrella. Naito then uses the umbrella to spray a mist, disorienting Jin, since Jin is a close-quarters fighter. Naito tries to keep his distance and attacks by turning his umbrella into a sniper rifle. The rubber bullets sting, and Jin starts to hide. He's experienced enough to know it will be difficult to get close to the teacher now that he's keeping his distance. The only option is a long-range attack, so Jin decides to unleash his own ranged ability. This takes Naito by surprise, and Jin manages to close the distance. But it's not that easy. Naito pulls out another smoke bomb to limit Jin's vision, just as Jin thinks the teacher is about to attack from a distance again. Naito changes tactics, quickly switching to close-quarters combat and knocking Jin to the ground. Jin is furious, but Naito tells him he's still green and needs to learn to assess his opponent's strength and the situation. Charging in like a moth to a flame will just get you a coffin, he says. Naito then uses his umbrella to chain Jin up and asks if he's in such a rush to meet his father. Jin is surprised Naito knows. But of course, the school has all of the students' information. Jin's father is a member of the Momotaro clan and the one who took everything from him. From his broken family to the scars on his body. Because of this, Jin hates his father and has been willing to do anything to survive. Even eating trash, just so he can one day get his revenge. This fierce resolve gives Jin the strength to break the chains, vowing that he will complete his mission even if it kills him. Those passionate, heroic words don't make Naito happy, they make him even angrier. He smashes Jin's face in. "How old do you think you are? Talking so big?" Naito scolds. "Don't die for your goal, live to achieve it. If you don't understand that, you have no future." After clearing up the mess, the teacher calls the school for medical personnel. Homer is knocked out and eliminated, and Jin is tied up. Only Shiki is left standing. Naito gives him two choices. Either run and find the other ball to get to the finish line, or take the ball from Naito-sensei's hand. After seeing how badly Jin got beat up, Shiki isn't stupid enough to charge in. He immediately runs away. Naito-sensei gives chase, but somehow, Shiki manages to loop back to where Jin is. He tells Jin they'll have a chance if they cooperate. If Jin agrees, Shiki will save him. But Jin doesn't like that idea. He'd be humiliated if Shiki had to save him. Shiki asks if his pride is more important than his goal. For Shiki, it's not. He's willing to cooperate with anyone to achieve his objective. Shiki also reveals that his father is also a member of the Momotaro clan, so they have at least one thing in common. Still, Jin is stubborn and refuses to cooperate with Shiki. Instead, he flips it around, agreeing that Shiki should cooperate with him. Meanwhile, Naito is still in pursuit. And when he realizes Shiki has doubled back, he sees the kid running back towards the school. Naito-sensei immediately cuts him off. But that was the two boys' plan all along. They try to ambush the teacher from behind. The teacher dodges easily, thinking there's nothing two exhausted kids can do. But the boys use rope to tie Naito up. Jin then uses the last of his blood to attack the teacher, creating an opening for Shiki to rush in and knock the ball out of his hand. Everything is going smoothly, but there's a big problem. They only have one ball. Shiki tells Jin to take the ball and run for it. But Naito-sensei tells Shiki that if Jin reaches the finish line, his fate will be uncertain. Shiki realizes this too late. He was so caught up in the heat of the moment. The teacher thinks Shiki is an idiot for only thinking about the immediate goal without considering the consequences. Meanwhile, Jin is running toward the finish line, but he doesn't want to owe Shiki anything. So he turns back and tells Shiki to take the ball and finish the race. He'll figure things out for himself. A sudden moment of camaraderie. At that moment, a pink, pig-like creature arrives with a message. It's a Baku, a messenger that delivers information quickly and without a trace. But a Baku appearing also means there's an emergency. Naito-sensei anxiously prepares to receive the message. When the speaker plays, it's a cry for help from another unit. They've been attacked. Over an hour has passed, and teams 2 and 3 outside are ready for the test. Just then, Naito-sensei and the two rascals return. They quickly inform the others of the emergency. The Kyoto branch is in danger and needs support from other Oni forces. Naito-sensei will personally lead the class to help. They quickly board a boat to get back to the mainland to head to Kyoto. First, the entire class must hide their horns to blend in with the city. Shiki is ecstatic to have come in last. Juji asks the teacher if it's too much to send a class full of new students for backup. The teacher says the situation is dire since all the other classes are already on field trips. So their class is the only choice. But don't worry, he says. You'll just be doing odd jobs and won't be on the front lines. Shiki is disappointed to hear he'll be doing odd jobs. But the teacher says that if the students were to fight, it would only increase the number of casualties. So he tells them to know their place. But the students ask what odd jobs they'll be doing. Naito explains that in cities, the Oni forces are divided into two teams, one for combat and one for support, which helps other Oni integrate into society. Since Oni can't go to regular hospitals, the support team also functions as a hospital for Oni, providing normal medical care. This time, Shiki's group's mission is to help the support team in Kyoto. Shiki is sad he won't get to fight, thinking his enemy might be in Kyoto. But Naito-sensei tells him the guy isn't there because the Momotaro also divide their areas, just like the Oni. However, the leader of the Momotaro in Kyoto is still a seriously dangerous guy. After a long train ride, Naito-sensei's class finally arrives in Kyoto. The teacher leads them to a restaurant where an old man quickly guides them into the Ona's secret base. Meanwhile, in another area, the captain of the Momotaro's Kyoto branch, Momomiya Tsubakiri, has just finished off Oni Team 3. He laughs at the fact that the Oni are trying to copy humans by forming teams. He's disappointed that none of Team 3 were females, as females can endure his experiments longer. His female colleague says she hates his disgusting experiments, especially the mixed-breed creature over there. Momomiya says it's nothing to worry about, just a hybrid of a dog, a monkey, and a pheasant named Aguri. He says it only eats Oni and is extremely loyal. His colleague is grossed out and says, "Please, I know you like to do research, but our main job is to find and eliminate Oni and protect the people." Momomiya gets a headache but says since he's part of the organization, he has to do his duty. But research is his great passion, and Oni blood is the precious material that attracted him to join the Momotaro. Oni can regenerate their bodies, and their blood mutates into weapons, which Momomiya finds beautiful. His colleague is getting more and more creeped out by her boss. While the two of them are talking, a young boy is trying to hide in the distance. When he hears them say they're leaving, he thinks he's safe, but Momomiya suddenly appears to say hello. He feels lucky because he was just looking for a young Oni for an experiment. His busty female colleague tries to intentionally knock the boy out so they can take him. But her attack somehow sends the boy's tomato sauce flying onto Momomiya's clothes. He gets enraged and punches the boy. The small Oni is scared and in pain. But Momomiya doesn't care and asks if his parents are among the dead bodies scattered around. Without waiting for an answer, he uses his power to crush all the bodies into a single mass. The Momotaro fight using a black bacterium that they can emit from their bodies. They can form weapons, throw them like throwing stars, and use them in many other ways. But the most disgusting thing, as his colleague mentions, is what Momomiya does, making the bacteria infiltrate and manipulate bodies. Meanwhile, Shiki's group and the teacher are walking through a tunnel and arrive at the Kyoto branch. It looks like a huge hotel. There, they meet a handsome guy who immediately tries to flirt and get a girl's number. But he gets rejected right away. Despite that, he's the captain of the Kyoto branch. His name is Kyoya, and he's Naito-sensei's classmate. Naito-sensei doesn't have time to chat, so he seriously tells him that he's going to the front lines to check the situation. Kyoya will be in charge of assigning work to Shiki's class. Before he can finish, Kyoya's assistant nurse sees Shiki's group and immediately gives the boys a job. She leads them to a place where injured Oni from the battlefield are being brought in on stretchers. Everyone has fatal injuries, which scares Shiki's group, but Kyoya cheerfully says not to worry, that he won't let the patients die. Shiki doesn't believe that they can be saved with injuries like that. If you don't believe me, I'll show you my power, Kyoya says. Meanwhile, the two Momotaro members have already taken down a bunch of Oni on the way. The remaining Oni are terrified, but Naito suddenly appears. Naito quickly uses his Transcendence blood power to launch a preemptive strike. Momomiya blocks it and looks interested to see Naito-sensei on the battlefield. He asks if the teacher knows that there's a place in Kyoto where all the Oni are gathered and that if the Momotaro could destroy it, the number of Oni would be significantly reduced. Naito-sensei says he doesn't know. And the guy says, "Too bad. I guess it's a famous location. I'll just walk around for a bit and then go home." Naito knows this guy has a good sense of smell and may have sniffed out something about the secret base. The teacher says he knows one place Momomiya should go, hell. Back at the base, Kyoya is transfusing dozens of bags of blood into himself, which confuses Shiki. Why is he transfusing into himself and not the patient? The answer must be in Kyoya's power. He's ready and asks the patient if he wants his hand or leg to recover. Using a signal to let Kyoya know, the patient signals his hand, wanting to hold his newborn child. Okay, Kyoya says, but you have to endure the pain of a large amount of blood being transfused. You can guess what Kyoya does next. The blood sprays out of his hand like a fountain and into the patient's mouth. The patient writhes in pain, and Shiki's group helps to hold him down. In the meantime, a dozen bags of blood are quickly emptied. The nurse on the side quickly tells the boys to get more blood to replenish the supply. Everyone takes turns working and transfusing a large amount of blood into the patient. Suddenly, something grows out of the patient's hand, which terrifies Shiki. It's his cells regenerating. In an instant, both his hands and the wounds on his chest are recovered as if new. Shiki thinks Kyoya's power is incredible and asks if he can do it continuously. Unfortunately, no, kid, he says. If too much blood is added, it will create an antibody and no longer be effective. And his body can't handle that much blood either. So, it's impossible to regenerate the patient's legs. But Kyoya reassures him that he'll make him 2 prosthetic legs and let him stay to work as a support staff in the rear. The man is extremely grateful to Kyoya for helping him. Kyoya stands up and tells Shiki's group that the war with the Momotaro is this brutal. The people who fall in the future could be them. He also understands that everyone in Shiki's class has their own reasons for going to the battlefield. But the war isn't just on the front lines. He reminds them that the rear is also extremely important. A strong rear allows the people on the front lines to fight with everything they have. And that's the job of the support team. This place is Kyoya's battlefield. The kids are starting to like Kyoya. Shiki quickly asks what his next mission is. And Kyoya tells him he has another job for him, to babysit a little girl named Mei. She just arrived yesterday, and her family was likely attacked by the Momotaro. So she's lost and hasn't found her parents. Kyoya thinks Shiki looks rough but is gentle. So he asks the boy to take care of Mei. Shiki agrees and goes to talk to Mei. He says it's great that there's a place like this underground and that her parents must love Studio Ghibli movies. But Mei doesn't seem to care. Shiki doesn't know what to do. She's completely ignoring him. Shiki has an idea and asks if she wants to go to Iryuta Shrine. The little girl suddenly asks Shiki what that place is. Shiki is surprised. Iryuta Shrine is in textbooks. How could Mei not know? It turns out she hasn't been to school. At that moment, another group of injured Oni and bodies are brought back. Shiki takes Mei to see, and she suddenly recognizes her parents. The little girl cries hysterically when she sees that her parents are dead. Seeing Mei's loss makes Kyoya sad, too. Even though he's witnessed a lot of it, he still can't get used to it and it affects him deeply. On the battlefield, Naito and Momomiya haven't made much progress. He asks Naito if the gift he prepared has been sent yet. Referring to the bodies of the Oni, Naito doesn't understand what he means. Momomiya doesn't hide it and says that he has made his bacteria infiltrate the bodies of the Oni being brought back to the secret base. Naito immediately knows the situation is not good. Momomiya immediately controls the bodies of the Oni that were brought back. Mei thinks her dad has woken up, but it's just his body, and it attacks the little girl. Kyoya immediately recognizes that it's Momomiya's power and tells Shiki to cover Mei's eyes. Then he deals with the father's body, because when they're controlled by Momomiya, the only thing you can do is incapacitate the brain. But a lot of bodies are being brought back. Even though Momomiya has revealed his plan, Naito-sensei can't go help because Momomiya is right in front of him. There's no way he'll let the teacher go that easily. Meanwhile, back at the base, the corpses have started to rise under Momomiya's control. Mei's mother's corpse stands up and hugs Shiki, so Kyoya is forced to deal with her, too, but he's immediately swarmed by other Oni corpses. All around, Oni corpses are rising everywhere, causing chaos in the hospital. Little Mei can only scream and cry, "Mom, please stop," since they can't expect any help from the overwhelmed Kyoya. Shiki quickly pulls out his hot goods and starts dealing out some justice. This is what Naito-sensei gave him back on the boat. As the teacher said, Shiki still can't control his blood demon, so it's a good idea to carry a gun for self-defense. The bullets have been coated with Shiki's blood, making them much more powerful. Shiki hugs Mei and gives her mother's corpse some justice, setting her free and giving her peace. He then uses a few more bullets to free Kyoya. It turns out the support team has no combat ability at all. So Kyoya asks Shiki to handle the situation outside while he evacuates the patients to a safer place. Outside, Oni corpses are rising everywhere, confusing Shiki's classmates about what's happening. But these low-level enemies can't do anything to them. Jin and the others don't understand why the corpses keep getting up no matter how many times they hit them. So Shiki starts shooting and tells them to aim for the head. Jin quickly demonstrates by using his blood act on one of them. They begin to split up. One team attacks, and the other helps with the evacuation. Shiki is furious that these Oni sacrificed themselves in battle, only for them to have to desecrate their corpses. With every shot, he thinks of the families of these people. He thinks of kids like Mei, who lost their parents right in front of them, only to have their bodies controlled by the Momotaro bastards. Shiki wants to cry, but this is a battle. He wants to fight the Momotaro, not his own people. Outside, Naito-sensei rushes forward to attack, but Momomiya uses Oni corpses to block him. Then, Momomiya's monster quickly attacks Naito, but the teacher's quick reflexes allow him to dodge. Knowing that this situation is a mess, Naito tells his comrades to get back to the base and help, because there's nothing they can do here and they might just get picked off by Momomiya. Before his comrades can leave, the three-headed monster Yomogi steps forward and uses her power to create a black cage. It turns out Momomiya wants to pin Naito-sensei down here so he can go sightseeing at the underground base. Naito thinks Momomiya doesn't know the location, but unfortunately, he's been careful and has already put trackers on the corpses sent back to the base. The location is right under Iryuta Shrine, and Naito-sensei knows he's screwed now. But without Yomogi's permission, no one can leave the barrier. Naito-sensei may have a way out, but Momomiya tells Yomogi to let his monster go in, since he can create these monsters easily. It's no big deal if one is destroyed, so he decides to blow up the monster inside the barrier. A huge explosion destroys everything around. Momotaro doesn't care who lives or dies. He just turns around and heads for the Oni base. After the terrifying close-range explosion, Naito-sensei is motionless and barely hanging on. Back at the base, after a hard fight, Shiki's class has successfully taken down all the Oni corpses and feels a sense of relief. But they don't know that something even more disgusting is coming. Mei looks dazed at her parents' corpses. Seeing this, the boys try to comfort her and apologize. But she says she's had to hide all her life and never even got to go to school. In a way, she thought this day would come. So she tells Shiki not to worry. Shiki is speechless. He can't believe a little kid who just lost her parents could say something like that. When he was Mei's age, all he did was watch Power Rangers and dream of becoming a superhero who rides a Zord to fight for justice. Shiki looks at the corpses all around him and no longer believes that the Momotaro are righteous. No righteousness would cause such a tragedy. Shiki walks over and hugs Mei, vowing to become an evil person to destroy the so-called heroes like the Momotaro. He will create a world where Mei can be happy and go to school. His words make his friends emotional. Later, as Jin and Kyoya are in the tunnel, Jin says he wants to lay his fallen Oni comrades to rest. Kyoya says they only have a cremation method here, and the place is on the way everyone took to get here. He then asks Jin if he has a girlfriend and offers to set him up with someone. Meanwhile, Shiki and the others are trying to move the Oni bodies. Juji gets a bad feeling that since they've been attacked, this place is no longer safe. So he quickly uses his blood act. Juji's skill is specialized for surveillance. When he unleashes his blood act and says, "Where are you?" a large area with a 5 km radius comes under his control, allowing him to detect any intruders. His ability is like a constant radar. Akari thinks this skill is awesome. Juji says it is, but he's not yet skilled enough to detect the face or strength of an intruder. But right after he says that, Juji's face changes. It's unclear what he has found. But Momotaro is calling the Momotaro organization, telling them to send some more Aguri to the address he pinned in the message. He's already at the base. And on his way, he took down the Oni who ran the pub. He looks happy to find out that this place is so big and tells the Momotaro headquarters to send him the new trump card Aguri he just created. Also, he's very interested in an Oni who was discussed in a previous meeting and tells his subordinate to ask Google about him. The Oni is probably none other than Shiki. I guess he shouldn't have beaten that Momotaro guy up, or he wouldn't have gone and told on him. His busty female colleague analyzes the entrance and thinks this place is massive. And she doesn't know how many Oni are inside. Going down is going to be difficult. But when Momotaro gets a call with information about Shiki, he doesn't hesitate and goes down immediately. He warns his colleague that if she sees an Oni named Shiki, he wants him captured alive, not killed, because Shiki is a special individual. Momotaro really wants to get his hands on him for his research. After the recent attack, little Mei seems to have lost everything. Her sky, her parents, are both gone. She wanders in her memories and dreams, dreaming of her mom taking her out to play, her dad taking her to school, and other happy moments together. These are normal dreams for a child, but they're a distant reality for a family with Oni blood. If they're discovered, the Momotaro will kill them. Back in reality, standing in the empty room after her parents' bodies have been carried away, she cries. Meanwhile, after talking it over, Jin and Kyoya decide to return to move the bodies. Jin is a little overwhelmed by the battlefield full of corpses, but Kyoya reassures him that this is normal in war. This is what it's like to have a bunch of casualties. So he tells Jin to be mentally prepared because this is where they'll end up after graduation. Jin has no more questions, so Kyoya gleefully asks if he has a girlfriend, which is just typical of him. But a sense of danger interrupts the cheerful mood. As soon as Kyoya notices he's stabbed by Momotaro, Jin is shocked and immediately unleashes his blood act to attack Momotaro. But the busty female colleague appears out of nowhere and attacks Jin from behind. Luckily, Kyoya pulls Jin away, or the attack would have hit his head. Even so, the attack hits his arm. instantly crippling it. Knowing the situation is bad, Kyoya tells Jin to quickly go and tell everyone that the Momotaro captain has arrived. It seems a little strange that he's staying behind to hold off the enemy when he can't fight. Momomiya tells Yomogi to use her skill to create a barrier to prevent anyone from leaving the underground base. Kyoya sees the busty colleague and thinks she's a looker. But she's also extremely dangerous. He knows that with the students trapped inside, their only hope is to wait for reinforcements from the outside. Unfortunately, he doesn't know that Naito-sensei has been put out of commission outside. Suddenly, Momomiya asks Kyoya if he knows a guy named Shiki. Kyoya knows he has nowhere to run. He pulls out a blue syringe from his coat. It's a secretion from aconite plants, which has strong toxicity, causes respiratory failure, and weakens internal organs. It seems Kyoya is trying to fight back, but he's too weak in a fight, and Momomiya takes him down with a single fatal blow. Kyoya lies motionless, bleeding out. Momomiya is about to do something to Kyoya, but he stops when the Aguri he created arrive. What Momomiya is interested in are the things the Aguri have brought with them, a large wooden box that looks like a coffin. Meanwhile, Jin is running for his life to get back to everyone. When he arrives, he finds it too quiet. He cautiously walks in and finds Shiki's group. It turns out everyone has already noticed the situation thanks to Juji's detection ability. So they've gathered together to quickly evacuate. But they are stopped by a black wall. Luckily, all the patients have been moved to safety, only a few people are left trapped. The group starts to plan. Shiki thinks they should split up to find a way out. But the nurse tells everyone that all the exits are blocked by the black mist. Just then, an Aguri walks into the room. Surprising everyone, it immediately attacks an Oni and devours him. Everyone is terrified and scatters. Momomiya and his subordinate have also arrived at the hospital. He tells the Aguri to put down the coffins and comments on how impressive it is that they were able to build a place like this underground. He then instructs the Aguri to take down everyone except for Shiki, whom he wants to capture alive. He just sits back and relaxes while Yomogi and the monsters do the rest of the work. Meanwhile, Kuina is trying to find something to wear besides her cumbersome nurse uniform so she can fight freely. Rokuro has a rapid heartbeat problem that affects his bronchi, so he's on the floor passed out. Kuina quickly covers his eyes to change clothes. But what on earth is she putting on to go fight? On the other hand, Rokuro is lying there overthinking everything, which only makes his body freak out more. The Aguri arrives, and he begs his pretty friend to save him. This is exactly what Kuina loves, the feeling of being needed. She tells Rokuro to quickly hide in the closet. The monster arrives a moment later. It can talk and asks Kuina if they're Shiki. Of course not, you idiot, she replies. The Aguri doesn't hold back and attacks Kuina. It's very fast, and its sharp claws destroy the walls wherever it strikes. But Kuina manages to dodge all of them and unleashes her blood act. Its form is a pair of heavy-duty gloves that look small but are quite strong. Meanwhile, Jin goes back to check on Kyoya. Akari prepares to go one-on-one with an Aguri, and Shiki leads Mei to find a hiding place. Rokuro wakes up after passing out in the closet. He wonders why it's so quiet outside. Is Kuina not fighting? Or has he been out for so long that it's all over? He slowly opens the door, and the Aguri is right there, terrifying him. But when he looks closely, the Aguri is obeying Kuina. She's hyped up and starts punching the Aguri's face repeatedly, making Rokuro even more scared of his buxom friend. After eating a series of punches, the Aguri falls down. It turns out Kuina's power is love. If her opponents get her blood on them, they will be enchanted and lose their will. I wonder if anyone on the channel would volunteer to be enchanted. Just kidding. Rokuro thanks Kuina for saving him, and she confidently says it was no biggie. People who know Kuina say she's a very reliable older sister who's always ready to help. And she's well liked, but Kuina's best friend says she's a morbidly devoted woman. The number of people she's taken care of, cooked for, and even brushed their teeth for until they became useless is countless. They were so mothered by her that they couldn't stand it and had to either leave her or end up in a mental hospital. Seeing Rokuro bow in thanks excites her, and she starts to pamper him. She lays out a mattress and carries him to it to take care of him better than a girlfriend. Kuina gets excited when someone wants to cling to her. Meanwhile, many people aren't as lucky as Rokuro and are killed by the Aguri monsters. And Rokuro is so happy that he goes crazy and thinks everything is a trap. That Kuina is using him as bait to lure the Aguri. Dude, you're so lucky you don't even know it, she says, laughing. Kuina even plans to go to the kitchen to cook for him. But when she sees him trembling, she rushes over to him with concern. Just then, Another Aguri arrives. So, it looks like it's here to get re-uploaded, just like the last one. This time, the Aguri is different from the others. Its arm can extend like rubber, surprising Kuina, who barely manages to react in time to avoid it. The coward Rokuro is even faster, already hiding in a box. Kuina is furious that the Aguri is interrupting her private moment with Rokuro. She rushes in to punch the Aguri in the face, but in a flash, it extends its head and stabs her in the bicep. Its two arms turn into long ropes and lock her arms down. The Aguri is not only flexible but also incredibly strong. It effortlessly lifts Kuina, smashes her against the ceiling, throws her around, and finally slams her to the ground, leaving her unable to resist. To be sure, it then repeatedly stomps on her chest, leaving Kuina and her melons bruised and motionless on the ground. The situation is tense. Rokuro is terrified in the box, partly for himself but also for Kuina. He's confused as to why his friend is being tormented, but he's too scared to rush out. He waits for someone to come to the rescue, overthinking about how he became so weak and cowardly. The scene shifts to Rokuro's past. In a small, remote village, Rokuro lived with a girl named Ruru, who was his first love. When he was with her, he was confident that he could do anything, even dangerous things like jumping off cliffs. He would even say he wanted to find a higher place next time. And Ruru always looked at him with affectionate eyes. The two of them lived happily together in the peaceful village. But Ruru was battling an illness. She couldn't go to the hospital because they would immediately discover she was an Oni. The Oni doctor in a nearby town had been killed in a Momotaro purge. Ruru's condition grew worse, so Rokuro decided to go to the next town to find a doctor to save her. He kept trying to comfort her, but she couldn't beat the illness and passed away. Before she died, she told Rokuro to always be the wonderful boy she loved, but she forgot that it was only because of her that he felt invincible. And when she left, his confidence left with her. There was no one to stop his fearful and anxious thoughts. So Rokuro began to lose himself. He fell into a depression and suffered from insomnia to the point that his hair turned gray. By the time he realized it, he had become completely useless. Back in the present, while Rokuro is deep in thought, the Aguri is about to finish off Kuina. But in that crucial moment, Rokuro seems to awaken and rushes out to save Kuina from the monster's fatal blow. He thinks that Ruru would be sad to see his weak and pathetic self. Besides, Kuina just saved and took care of him. If he doesn't do anything, what kind of man is he? Rokuro wants to meet Ruru in the afterlife without this shameful self. And to be able to tell her that he's strong even without her. So Rokuro is determined to leave the past behind and become strong again. This time, he will be a hero. He may be fired up, but his heart is still pounding. With no turning back, Rokuro quickly unleashes his blood act. His blood takes on the form of Ruru. When the image appears, Rokuro feels a sense of relief, and his fear and anxiety lessen. He realizes that he really couldn't do anything without her. The image then fades, and his fears disappear, transforming into armor around his body. He calls it Ashes of the Storm. The Aguri rushes in to attack, but Rokuro just snaps his fingers, and red petals fly around. He uses a move called Cherry Blossom Dance to effortlessly slice off the monster's two arms. To clarify, Rokuro's Ashes of the Storm can control his blood demon into a storm of cherry blossom petals made of blood. Each petal is as sharp as a blade, and when he uses the technique, the petals cut his opponent to pieces. After taking off the Aguri's arms, Rokuro confidently declares, "I am invincible now, okay? Come on, if you're so tough, come at me." Thanks to his flashback, the situation has changed. Blood petals fly across the room along with Rokuro's dance. He remembers the time he practiced dancing with Ruru and realizes that he was never invincible, he just imagined it. Ruru always knew that but was still generous enough to believe he was strong, making him believe he was invincible. But that doesn't matter anymore. If she believed in him, he can believe in himself now. Meanwhile, the Aguri furiously attacks, but Rokuro only needs to dance a little to dodge everything. He then uses his dance to close the distance and uses his fan to slash away. He finishes the combo with a move called Dual Dance of the Storm of Ashes, slicing the Aguri to pieces in an incredibly cool way. Rokuro wishes Ruru were there to see his true strength. Meanwhile, Shiki and Mei are hiding safely. Shiki asks if she's hurt anywhere. The little girl says her parents are gone, so she doesn't care if she lives or dies. Shiki sighs and says, You want to die? That's one way, but you can't. Kid, if you die now, your parents' deaths will be meaningless. Don't give up on your future. Live and fight for a better life. Right now, all you can do is cheer for us. Let us take down everyone who harmed your family. With that, Shiki gets up to go fight. Mei is worried and says, "You can't beat them." Shiki tells the boy that even if he can't win, he will try his best. Even if there's no hope, he won't back down. That's what Shiki believes in now. Over by Naito-sensei, some of his subordinates have arrived to save him. He's been out for about 15 minutes. His subordinates apologize for him getting hurt because of them, but the teacher doesn't care. He gets up and quickly heads to the base to save his students. Back at the base, Shiki happens to run right into Momomia. Momomia is surprised that someone is there and asks, "Who are you?" Shiki recognizes his uniform and knows he's a Momotaro member. He asks, "Are you Momo?" Momomia doesn't answer and just asks, "Who are you?" Shiki introduces himself, and Momomiya's eyes light up. "Oh, my darling Shiki, I've been looking for you." He then introduces himself as Momomiya Tsubakiri. Shiki is furious. He demands to know why Momomiya did this, why he desecrated the dead. Momomiya finds Shiki's compassion for Oni hilarious. He says, "Compassion is only for humans and us Momotaro. You're Oni. You don't have those rights." Shiki is enraged by the insult and pulls out his gun, ready to take Momomiya down. In the tunnel, as Jin tries to get back to Kyoya, the three-headed Yomogi blocks his path. She tells Jin that her boss Momo has taken down that useless orange-haired playboy. "If you're angry, come at me. Oni with team spirit? How disgusting." With that, Jin unleashes his blood act, preparing for a major fight with the three-headed girl. But when he attacks, his slashes are all blocked by the rune Yomogi created. She taunts him, "You're still too green. Kid, slashes like that won't work on me." Back with Shiki, his blood is boiling, and he has his gun ready. But Momomiya just throws a knife, easily disarming Shiki. He says not to fight him with such a useless thing. "Where's your blood? Show me. Since you asked, I'll give you some justice." Shiki says. He controls his blood demon to form an M4. Determined to avenge Mei and protect everyone, he fires a powerful shot that causes everything around them to get freezing cold. Momomiya dodges, but Shiki taunts him. "Are you scared of me? Big shot? Why'd you dodge that? What a bummer."